Welcome to Financial Investing Radio, where you'll learn the secrets for consistent, high-probability returns in the financial markets for additional income to change your life. Grant applies consistent, high-probability trading systems for the financial markets. He's only recently started sharing these tried and true market secrets. As a gift to listeners, Grant is offering his roadmap to high-probability financial control. Go to financialinvestingradio.com and download yours today. Now, here's your host and trading veteran, Grant Larson.
Everybody, this is Grant Larson. Thank you for joining Financial Investing Radio. It is an honor for me today to have yet another expert in the house to interview. I have known this individual for a very long time. I'll let him introduce himself, but let me tell you one of the things that's really unique about him and his abilities. He has the ability of savings. You know, not long ago, I got to interview the queen of mobile homes, right? Remember that? Remember her, Shemin? Wow, she knew mobile homes and investing. And then I also got to interview Zach Morrow. This man, he knew about commercial real estate investments. All these experts. Well, I would categorize and classify this individual as the king of savings. This guy knows how to save. He's got the abilities to do it, and I'm amazed with that. So first, let me introduce you to my son. His name is Kenny Larson. Kenny, say hi.
Hi, how's it going, you guys?
So let me tell you guys a little bit about Kenny. He's our second oldest son, and one of the things that we noticed early on in his life was the ability to save. And it's not like his siblings didn't save. Kenny just has the ability to save with real intensity. Kenny, take us back to the time when we started seeing this about you.
Well, I was really little, and we would go out for Halloween to grab candy from all the different houses, and we would get these big bags of candy. And 2-3 months after we had, after Halloween, it was by Christmas time, and I still had Halloween candy in my room, and I had saved it out so that I could have a little bit of candy each week. So I had saved it out.
And we knew we had a real special situation here when we got to one Halloween, and you still had Halloween candy from the previous Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Man, his siblings would be all over it trying to get it, and Kenny learned some techniques of hiding the Halloween candy so the siblings wouldn't even get to it. And I realized, okay, if Kenny can save Halloween candy for a whole year, which was shocking to me. In fact, it reminded me, there was a study that I heard someone quote, I think it was done in the 60s or the 70s. I'm going to get this wrong, but it was basically, they took a bunch of children. You remember this? Have you heard this? They took some children and they gave them a marshmallow. And they put a marshmallow in front of them and they said, if you can sit and not eat the marshmallow, I think it's for a minute or 2 minutes or something like that. If you can not eat that marshmallow for whatever the period of time was, we'll give you 2 marshmallows. And they did a study on how, what percentage of the kids would sit and wait to eat the marshmallow. And then this turned out to be a long-term study because they followed these people throughout life. They're looking for the correlation between, the need to eat or consume it now, whatever it is, have it now, and the ability to, down the road, have a stronger financial foundation. And, of course, they found this correlation. So Kenny has demonstrated this. He has not eaten Halloween candy now. Is it for 10 years, or did you finally start eating it?
I'm sure there's still Halloween candy at your house somewhere.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. But there is this correlation, isn't there, Kenny? Tell us about this. How did you end up applying this later, like when you're at college and things like that?
Yeah, so later on in college, I started to apply this. I didn't have a lot of money, but I still, in college, every month would set aside a little bit of money so that I could have it later on down the road. Same thing with the Halloween candy.
So you have this small budget, not a lot of money, and you would set aside money for savings every month, even though it's just a small amount.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I would do.
All right, man. Your dad, man, he must have been really, really rough on you.
I just knew that if something were to come up in life, I wanted to have some security. I wanted to have some cushion in life, so that if I were to lose my job, if the car would break, or if there was an emergency, then I would have some extra savings.
That is so valuable to have that. So what I'm interested to know is, how did you arrive at the ability to not eat the marshmallow, so to speak, right? How did you, to not eat the Halloween candy? How did you arrive at this ability to not spend that money? I mean, that's a challenge, right, for a lot of us. What did you do?
I guess I just had a goal of what I wanted in the future. I wanted to have some security. I wanted to have peace of mind, and I wanted to be able to use that money later on down the road. So setting that as my goal helped me put away a lot of that money so that I could use it later.
That was the goal. Okay. Yeah. So setting a goal ahead, so it sort of went aspirationally to what you were after. You knew you wanted something else in the future. All right. So let me ask you this. What are the hardest things to overcome when you have a strong savings plan, right? In other words, what do you have to give up? What are the things you're challenged with?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge is always that you want to dip into your savings account for fun things or for wants. That's going to be the biggest challenge. You look at that savings as it starts to build up, and a new car sounds really nice. A vacation sounds really nice, and you really have to set a goal as to what that money is going to be used for and stick to it.
So one of the things that I noticed, in fact, I did a podcast on this recently. There was a study about the wealthy, right, and the mindset of the wealthy. And you're talking about mindset, right? You set a goal and you had a mindset, which was, I'm targeting something into the future. But one of the things in the study I found interesting was that it said that the wealthy, of course, are always living below their means. And of course, someone might come back and say, well, of course, they're wealthy, right? Well, not really. The smart wealthy got there because they were acting that way for a long time, right?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, you have to be living below your means so that you can be saving.
I had a trip one time. I was coming back from San Francisco. I was on a flight, and I happened to be sitting next to someone. I didn't realize at first who it was, but I noticed he had the San Francisco 49er logos and documentation out on his little table there. And I thought, gosh, what is this guy doing? So when they brought out some food, I turned to him and I said, what do you do? And he said, well, I'm the general manager for the San Francisco 49ers. And I was like, what? So we started talking about the money part of it, right? And I said, okay, this was probably 15, 20 years ago, something like that. And I said, give me an idea of how much money these ball players, in fact, I said, I don't want to hear about the top end because you hear about that in the press. Tell me about what does a guy make that walks in and he's just taking hits in practice and he never sees any game time. You're very bottom entry. And of course, back then he said there's $300,000 a year, plus they had a whole bunch of perks. And he said the challenge was a lot of them had not yet practiced what does it mean to organize themselves and their money and to live below their means. He said they're almost always coming in saying, man, I'm blowing out my money. I'm living beyond my means. So yes, you can have a lot of money, but then you get to this point where you ultimately, live beyond your means. That is not a wealth mindset. So the wealth mindset says establish where you are in terms of what you're bringing in, but always live way below it and put a strong savings plan and budgeting plan in place. Okay, so you said the hardest thing is to live below that. It's to be able to pick the things to spend and not to spend. All right.
Yeah, definitely set a plan and allocate your resources, allocate it into different piles, and set your money aside into different pots and set a plan for those different pots.
Okay, awesome. All right, so what about? You remember that? I think it was a Disney movie called Up, right? Remember that where they at the very beginning they're sort of telling the story of the man and his wife, and you see that sort of jar they have where they're putting coins into it, and then events would occur, and they're pulling from those coins. So when do you know to pull from your savings? So tell me about that.
I think for me, it would have to be a big emergency, either a health emergency, car crash or some other medical expense. I don't see many other reasons to take the money out of my savings account other than wise investments.
So let's talk about that. So what's the benefit of having savings?
One of the benefits of building up your savings is so that you can make wise investments. Having it just sit in your bank account for years and years, you're not going to make that much money off of it. But actually, saving up enough money gives you the ability to then invest, which will make you more money in return.
It's interesting in this material I just reviewed recently, that is definitely what the mindset of the wealthy was, is that, you build up these savings. It's for the purpose of reinvesting it, of taking and having it to work for you. In fact, I think I've heard multiple places, I'm sure you have too, people say, you're really wealthy when you're making money when you're sleeping, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very true.
All right, so you saved. Ultimately, the real goal is to have your resources start working for you so that obviously you get leverage in your life off of that. Okay, so at this point in your life, you've been practicing all the way from Halloween candy to budgeting in college to, now where you are in your life with your wonderful family. And what do you see the future of savings? What are your intentions with that?
Yeah, so my intentions with my current savings is to invest it in different things, in learning, education, in different ways that I can make passive income.
Excellent.
But I've built up enough money through savings that has become really possible for me.
Can you foresee in the future that you would also use some of your savings to send your dad like on a big fancy trip?
Oh yeah. Oh, of course.
Come on.
Oh yeah, there will be a pot for that.
Oh, perfect, man. I like this. We'll have you back on this podcast. Awesome. Okay, Kenneth. Any last words you want to share with the audience?
No, I think it just. Have the determination to stick to your goals with your different savings plans, and you'll start to see the money grow.
Excellent. Yeah, you have definitely shown that over the years. I can attest to that for sure. Kenneth, thanks for joining. And hey, everybody, thanks for joining and listening in to another episode of Financial Investing Radio. My name's Grant Larson, and until next time, start saving.
Thank you for joining Grant on Financial Investing Radio. Remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Don't forget to download your free roadmap to high probability financial control before you make an investment decision. Visit financialinvestingradio.com now.